Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back to the charts. How's it going, guys? Happy Father's Day to all those great fathers, man. I'm sure everybody here in the community is a great father. So, yeah, man, props to you. So let's go ahead and look at AMC and some charts. This video is going to be pretty interesting, pretty fun. Okay, so for those that are familiar with Plotzy, the pattern scanner, I've pulled it up a few times here on the live streams, just kind of showcasing how it works. Well, we found some matches, man. All right. And these are macro matches, okay? So it takes the length, the parameter, uh, which in this case we have 250, so 250 days that it's scanning for, right? This entire section from here to here. Because we're on the hourly, okay, it's going to be looking at bars, not days. All right, so 250 bars, this is what it's scanning for. And then this entire section here is going to be the query, right, that is going to use to find these matches. And you can see down here, we have 4 with pretty good correlation, a pretty good correlation. And one of the things that I posted here on Twitter because I thought this was pretty cool is a lot of these not only have similarities in the pattern structure, right? The pattern structure is the way, well, the pattern looks. And that's where we track levels, all that good stuff, fibs and everything. But here we have a one-to-one match, meaning that the correlation that it finds is patterns that pretty much have the same structure at the same time, right? We're not taking a fractal. A fractal is a stock pattern that is manipulated. So if we make it smaller, that's considered a fractal, right? If we make it bigger, that's also considered a fractal. Well, these matches are one-to-one. So the higher the correlation, obviously, the better. And then we also have a nice little projection on all these because these are stocks that are already squeezed, like way back in the day. Okay. So there's 4. There's actually more. I just posted these 4 because they're the ones with the highest correlation. All right, and I also overlaid them on the chart here for us to see. Okay, so let's get into it, man. All right, so we got Sava right here. Sava is actually this stock, man, we've been tracking here on the Discord for quite some time. But this happened way back in 2020 before everything started to pump in 2021. And all these stocks, guys, they have the same drop. This drop is very important. I'll talk about it more with NVAX because I think it has it's the one stock that has pretty much the same thing happening even before the drop, which is pretty crazy. But if you take a look at the way they drop, right, so I'll pull this back over here a little bit so you guys can see. Each of them have the same percentage difference. Like, as it drops, most of these drop about 92%, 92 to 98. OCGN is the one that dropped the most. And AMC dropped 94, 95%, okay, from this range that it's tracking. So that's very important to track here because the algorithms typically like rinsing and repeating, right? These macro phases, right? These sequences. And it's pretty much telling us like a volatility zone on each one, right? Not all of them have the same volatility zone like this entire, this massive squeeze here. But they all lead up to it. They all lead up to a similar range. So this is Sava. We also have NVAX right here. This is the one that I think we're tracking as far as historical data. If you take a look at the bottom left here, Sava, that little section, which is right here on AMC, happens the same way. It's almost like this wedge or like this falling, it's a wedge that breaks down with a fake out, right? We have this massive fake out. It probably starts to dump back down. Okay, it's the one that's replicating it the best. And a lot of these smaller sections inside this macro sequence are also playing out on AMC. They might be a little bit bigger, right? For example, this one right here. Okay, this is a larger version of what's happening right around this range here. As it drops, so every single phase inside this macro sequence is stretched out. It's larger or it's smaller. It's the way that I see it. But ultimately, again, everything starts to pump back up into a range. Now, guys, this is not me calling for the $100 range or the, any of these targets. I've said before that because stocks have done this in the past, that means that, well, AMC can do it as well, right? It just gives the correlation here, the fact that it's high, it gives the probability that if AMC starts, hitting these levels, triggering these levels, that it can hit, the levels that a lot of these stocks are calling for, right? We have Sava there. This is one. This is Tel, right? This is going to be the third one. Okay, and this one also calling for like short-term, price targets we had before. The $40 range is very important. Whichever way it does it, all of these stocks, right? All of these stocks start climbing up around the same time, right? If we overlay them on top, the only one, Sava is the one that kind of starts climbing towards the end here. But most of these start tracking and going up around the same time as we're expecting AMC to do, right? OCGN is the last one. Okay, it's right here in red. Same drop, accumulation, and then it starts climbing up into January of next year. Okay, this is good for the macro, guys. Regardless of what's happening inside here on the micro, this is good for the macro. Okay, now let's take these matches out so we can talk about some other stuff. All right, AMC on the micro charts, apart from the scanner and everything that it's pulling up, I just wanted to talk about that real quick. Here is what the micro sequence looks like. So we're still in a reaccumulation phase, right? Reaccumulation is the projector. It happens before a volatility zone. The volatility zone I'm tracking is still supposed to happen sometime this week. I'm tracking for volatility on closer to the middle of the week. I know we do have that that day off here, the Juneteenth, right? So Wednesday we won't have trading in the market. So there is also that correlation, right, with AMC. It tends to climb up, or it tends to do something, right? It tends to do something on that week. And it's also a very important expiration week. We have a 4-day trading week with a quad witching week, right? Which is pretty insane to think about. I mean, when's the last time we saw that? Well, probably maybe not even last year. Not every Juneteenth rolls into a quad witching date, although it does get close. So, yeah, tracking that, guys, here, but we still have some of these short-term patterns that we're tracking as well. All right, a lot of these short-term patterns, Perry being one of them, have that short-term volatility zone that is calling for some upside. So that's exciting stuff. The cycle as well, okay, being that we are inside the red portion of the cycle, not yet quite inside the POI. Still expecting the $8 and $10 range to be hit before the quad witching date. So that hasn't changed. It's just that, I say this every single video, but if we are going to come and trigger that price range and we start to see this inflow in volume, well, the trajectory has to be pointing up for the macro charts to be bullish, right? Important. It's very important, guys, that on this quad witching date, we are higher than the previous one to have a healthy trajectory. Okay, so I would love to see the $8 to $10 range before this. It's a pretty hefty push, but we have seen AMC go up 400%, right, in 1 week. So in a matter of 2 days. So this is a 60% push. So it's really not that much if you think about it, especially with GME being ahead of the game here a little bit in terms of how much it goes up. AMC is on track to go next and probably go higher than AMC. We go back to January 2021, right? GME beat everybody, right? Here in the beginning. It had its squeeze, and then a few months later, AMC went. So it's the same thing. They can't just pump them together the same percentage. That won't happen. That's too much liquidity if these guys are controlling both, and we know that because the correlation with in the way that they move and the way that volatility shows itself is also 1-to-1, right? So I think that's what's going to happen, guys. On the next cycle for AMC, we're going to see a higher push, compared to GME, and that should be pretty exciting stuff. But yeah, man, pretty cool stuff going on here with AMC. Again, the pattern scanner is a pretty cool tool that we use on the Discord. So here's a little bit of how it works as well on the Discord. It's called Plotzy, man. It's called Plotzy. You just go ahead and input all the parameters, and then it scans the entire set list of stocks that we have, and pretty much spits out a good, set list of correlation. You can do this on the micro chart. So we have 4 intervals available. The one that I scanned for AMC right now was the daily. So it is more on the macro, but there are micro intervals you can scan as well. So yeah, guys, if you want to check that out, link below. Also, the Discord has many other features. The chat, plays, all that good stuff in the market. It's great community. So check that out, link below, and it'll take you straight there. All right, guys, that is it for today's video. We'll have an update video on AMC tomorrow. So stay tuned for that, and happy Father's Day, guys.